many ways, it goes without saying what day it is today. There are telltale signs everywhere. From the carved pumpkins on doorsteps to the kids running around dressed as everything from Barbie to Captain America. And I would hazard a guess, if you've been listening to Manx Radio today, we've probably mentioned it a fair few times. That's right, it's Halloween. Wait, oops, take two. That's right, it's Hop-tu-Naa. I'm Siobhan Fletcher, and tonight we're going to take a deep dive into the traditions and festivities that make up this quintessentially Manx holiday. And look, I'm new here, so go easy on me, will ya? Let's get into it.
Well, Christy, autumn, I think it's fair to say, is very much in the air, and we know what that means.
It's almost Hop-tu-Naa.
And of course, we understand the customs associated with Hop-tu-Naa very well, but not everyone does.
No, I mean, we've grown up with it and we think it's brilliantly fun. It's incredibly quirky. It's really unique to the Isle of Man. And so there are certain people who have recently moved to the island that work with us at Manx Radio and maybe don't quite know enough about it. So we thought we'd introduce them to some of our slightly more unusual customs.
Enter Siobhan Fletcher. Do you know what you've let yourself in for here?
Yeah, we're talking about Halloween, aren't we?
Don't say that word. What were you thinking?
Just, that's what we're on about, isn't it?
Right. She needs a lesson.
To push our buttons. I think we need to sort this out. So we've come to St John's and we've come to visit the man who knows all about our customs, our folklore, Mr. James Franklin at Culturvannin.
I love the fact that we have literally just brought her here. We're going to send her in and she has no idea what's going on.
No, she doesn't. I bet you any money he's carved a moot in readiness. We'll see, though.
Right, go on then. We're here. Knock on the door. In you go.
Moramai. Tarstiach, come in.
Moramai, James.
Moramai. Not Jenny, welcome.
James, we're wondering if you can help us. We're talking Hop-tu-Naa. She just said the other H word outside.
Ooh, I felt like someone had walked over my grave. I gave a shiver. That was probably why.
So this is Siobhan, fairly new still to the Isle of Man. James, just tell Siobhan who you are.
I am James Franklin, and I work here at Culturvannin doing fun stuff about celebrating, supporting, promoting Manx culture.
Wonderful. Do you think you can give her the whistle-stop tour of Hop-tu-Naa?
Well, we can give it a go.
Okay, so James, can you just tell me then, give me a crash course in Hop-tu-Naa?
Well, Hop-tu-Naa, of course, is the Manx celebration at the end of October. It's known as something else in other countries, but Hop-tu-Naa here.
So as a complete newcomer to the Isle of Man, I know some stuff. For example, I know that you carve turnips here instead of pumpkins.
Yeah, I guess there are a few key things which will be obvious to outsiders with Hop-tu-Naa, and one of them is certainly turnips. You're carving turnips. And the great thing about carving turnips is that they smell beautiful and they look beautiful, and it's great fun, because what's the point of carving a pumpkin? It's done far too quickly. If you're going to get joy, you want to work at it, and that's definitely what turnips are all about.
So if I was going to celebrate Hop-tu-Naa properly, what other traditions should I be giving a go?
Well, there's one theory that the word Hop-tu-Naa relates to Hogmanay, which of course anyone from Scotland will know as the celebration of New Year's. And the theory is that in Celtic times, as they say, that this was an important change point in the year, going from the summer half into the winter half. And at this kind of bridge point in what they call the Celtic New Year, then this is a point when the worlds between this side and the other side are at their most thin. And so you are most open to strange things happening. And so a key part of Hop-tu-Naa traditionally is to protect yourself against evil or against harm, and that would include things like fire, bonfires, and of course today the fire is contained inside your turnip lantern. So that in itself is keeping you safe against evil spirits or people doing harm on you. But then another part is that at this particular point in the year, you have a chance to see into the future by doing certain unusual things, and you can predict what will happen in the future.
To predict the future, is there a specific thing that I should be doing?
Well, there's a nice range, and so you can take your pick. and most of them are very weird and a bit disgusting. So one you could do is make the Soddig Value, this dumb cake as it translates. And you need to make it in silence, and you make this cake without saying a single word, and it includes lots of nice things, but also includes soot and eggshells and an awful lot of salt. And then you cook it in silence and eat it in silence, and when you walk backwards up to bed, and in the night time you'll dream of your future partner. Another version of this is a salt herring. You need to steal around to your neighbour and then steal a salt herring from their house. Of course, all of our neighbours these days still have salt herrings, so you can do that. And then you need to eat it you need to eat it completely, complete with the skin and the bones. And then again, you go up to bed and you'll dream of your future partner. In the dream, probably they'll be giving you a glass of water because, of course, you'll be so parched from all that salt. Another one is that you can go out to the barn with a ball of wool, and you hold onto one end and you throw this ball of wool out into the dark. And as you're pulling it in, you hope that it will be caught at some point, and then you can call out who's holding the rope. And of course, it will be your future partner who calls back and says their name.
That doesn't sound that appealing, this whole cake situation. So where's that come from? Is there an origin to why you put these sort of gross things in the cake?
I think practically it will make you have unusual dreams, having these unusual things in you. But I think it links to this idea of where Hop-tu-Naa sits in the traditional Celtic calendar, that it is this bridge point between summer and winter, when the border between this world and the next are at their thinnest.
So on my way here, I was chatting with some colleagues from Manx Radio who are giving me this crash course in Hop-tu-Naa, and I said the other H word, which I'm just going to say is Halloween. So why do we hate that so much here?
I don't know. I think it's because for us, it's Hop-tu-Naa, and so it's a word which isn't said. I think in our household it's a word which me and the kids cringe at a little bit, and if my American wife ever uses the wrong word, all the kids will shout at her to say it properly. I think we should probably start making up a bit of superstition about the word. Maybe we should in the Isle of Man start saying that saying the other H word will bring you bad luck, and you should say boo or something in response. Maybe in future years we'll start that superstition, then we'll sort it out.
How long have we been saying Hop-tu-Naa here? Is there like a root to that word in particular?
That's a very interesting one. Hop-tu-Naa has always been a phrase because it's in the song, but that it is the word for the day or the night is actually quite modern. It's only about 100 or so years old. It comes from the song. In the refrain, Hop-tu-Naa is tra-la-lay, which is in the Manx version. And there are questions about what it means, but pretty much it seems like this is just a sound. Hop-tu-Naa as tra-la-lay, just a sound. But over time, in the transition from Manx being the spoken language of the Isle of Man, when it was always known as Ehauna, and still is known as Ehauna, when the Isle of Man became an English-speaking country in the main, then that word was kind of lost, and so there wasn't really a word for Hop-tu-Naa, and so people began to describe it, saying this is the night for singing Hop-tu-Naa, or this is Hop-tu-Naa night, and it's only very recently that we've lost the night, and it's now just Hop-tu-Naa itself.
Right, so now that I've been to have a chat with James, I'm going to bring in a fellow come-over to chat all things spooky season.
Spooky.
Lewis Foster, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, are you excited for, well, what we would call Halloween?
I am excited. I love this time of year.
Did you just hear Beth, Espey and Christy DeHaven
I
cry
did.
somewhere when I said that?
Yeah. Beth is shrivelling somewhere.
She's not happy. But yes, it's your favourite time of year, is it?
It's one of, yeah. I do enjoy this time. I love anything themed, I think.
Like a theme.
I love a theme.
I agree, I think like autumn's my favourite time. I like that time of year where I get to switch my caps for my beanies and layer up. It's my favourite thing. My birthday's in September. I always feel like from then onwards I'm like, oh yeah, it's coming. Here we go.
Me too. Get the boots out, get a nice big jacket on.
Yeah, layers.
But then all those nice brown leaves turn to mush.
Yeah, and then
it's not so nice.
It gets too cold. But we're not quite there yet. We're just in that sort of spooky season. I guess first of all then, we wouldn't call it Hop-tu-Naa. I would always know it as Halloween. What I want to know from you really actually is, what was your Halloween like growing up?
Halloween growing up was always going to a friend's house. I don't seem to recall we ever had our own party on Halloween, but probably I imagine a typical English Halloween party, which you probably went to as well. I don't know if they're the same in the north of England, from east to west, whether they were any different at all, because I seem to remember apple bobbing, jelly with like worms inside, not real worms,
Real worms.
And getting a new costume each year for Mazda.
Well, yeah, pretty much, pretty standard. Although I feel like my most vivid memory of costumes growing up is just being a quote-unquote witch for Halloween, which basically meant my mum putting me in a black bin bag, putting a witch's hat and giving me a broom and being like, off you go. And it's, a bit of low-budget affair, but it works, doesn't it? I feel like you don't need much, just that's spooky enough. But I agree, bobbing apples, playing those sorts of games. We had one where the apple was like tied to a string as well.
Never played that one.
Yeah, so it's the same as bobbing apple, but a bit harder because it's not even on water. It's kind of just floating in the air.
Floating on a string, you have to take a bite out of it.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. There was always... I always remember a CD player playing Monster Mash on repeat. That was a standard as well.
Ghostbusters.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
All that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was Halloween for us growing up. So here, when you moved over, what was your reaction when you sort of... There's lots of traditions here. It's very instilled in mythology, folklore. I think that my first exposure to it was meeting my partner, and around Halloween time, her saying, like, started singing a Halloween song, and me being like, sorry? Like, what are you on about? And her being like, Halloween songs, and she sang me Ginny the Witch, and she sang, and I just remember it was almost like complete disbelief from me. I was like, sorry, what are you on about? So when you moved over, was that your reaction to some of these traditions?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I moved over in sort of late September, so I wasn't here very long. But you do see it, and I think my first kind of realisation was that argument taking place. Somebody saying Halloween and others going, you mean Hop-tu-Naa? And going down to Tesco and hearing people go, why don't they stock turnips? And all that kind of thing. Fair points.
So, well, actually, speaking of turnips, let's talk about that. So I was chatting to James, as everyone will have heard a little bit earlier on, about the tradition of turnips, or moots, here on the island. He showed me what we thought was maybe the first turnip carved this year when I chatted to him. You went down to Craigneish this week and, well, you had a go yourself.
I did.
So do you want to tell me a little bit about... I've yet to carve a turnip, so what was the experience like for you?
Hard work. I carved one last year, which actually was more difficult. This was a bigger moot and slightly softer. I don't know what the trick is, whether you've got to leave it for a bit until it gets a bit soft. But, yeah, enjoyable. Yeah. Far more malleable than your humble pumpkin.
Well, why don't we pause our conversation here and have a little listen to what you got up to when you went down to Craigneish then?
Let's go for it.
I'm Susie Walker, the Visitor Services Development Manager with Manx National Heritage. A moot is a turnip, what we would use at Hop-tu-Naa to go round our houses with a candle inside to scare off the ghosts and ghoulies.
How do you tend to design a moot?
Often the scariest the better, so lots of pointy eyes and pointy mouths, and then traditionally in Peel you would carve stars and cats and Ginny the Witch, very sort of scrape off the top of the moot, and the candle would shine through and make beautiful patterns around your room.
Where does the history of the moot come from, and why turnips? Why is that a thing on the Isle of Man?
I guess it's what you could get on the Isle of Man. We wouldn't have had pumpkins, and so we've always done a moot, and Scotland as well. Sort of the Celtic countries always go for the really, really hard vegetables just to make it an extra challenge, I think, really.
I've heard a drill going so far. Is that part of the process?
That is part of the process. It's not as traditional as getting stuck in, but yeah, we use drills to make it easier for you. So to save yourself a little bit of pain, it's definitely worth coming down here and getting the core drilled out for you.
Shall we go and try carve one ourselves?
Brilliant, yeah, let's do that.
Desi Robinson.
What's this guillotine type thing you're using there?
Well, we had a friend who's seen us and we were cutting it with a knife, and he said, I've got a perfect invention for you. So he made this guillotine for us. It's to take the top off the turnip, the moot, get the right Manx word for it, the moot. So we take his head off, like so. We like to get a little flat piece on the bottom of the moot, because when you're sitting down, you won't roll over.
This is the fun bit with the drill, and this is where I'm going to get... Just like that.
No, still got you.
And everyone around me showered in moot. And you're putting some holes in the top now, and a few holes for a chimney and a string, is that right?
Yep. String holes and a chimney in. And then it's next to it for the string and candles.
Thank you very much.
Oh, is this yours?
This is mine.
Oh, are you going to carve it?
I am going to carve it, yeah. So what do we do before we carve it?
I would suggest you carve it before we put the string on.
Okay.
But if you want to do the string, you can do that first.
Well, how about we describe what we do with the string and the candle first?
So the candle obviously goes inside in the hole that's just been carved out. Then the top goes on, and the string goes through. There's no hole there. Oh yes, there is. The string goes through one side.
So we've got two holes either side of the
Yeah.
moot, and a couple of holes in the cap, as it were, as
So
well.
the string goes through there with a big knot on the inside to keep it there. Hope that'll do the job.
And this looks like some proper string we've got here.
Well,
where's this
absolutely. I have no idea, but it looks like the kind of stuff you'd be wrapping around your bales of straw and your bales of hay. Proper stuff. None of your plastic rubbish.
for the traditional look as well?
Absolutely. Right. So that then goes through the lid.
Okay.
Goes through the other side of the lid.
And so we've got like a string loop at the top. I suppose that's to be able to carry it. Quite important.
It is indeed. You don't want to burn any fingers.
And how would you suggest I carve it? In what design?
Well, there are designs on the tables that you can look at. A lot of people put faces on them because that's quite a traditional thing. But particularly in the Peel area of the Isle of Man, there were some amazing decorations of Ginny the Witch going over the houses and things like that, and things and moons and stars carved into the turnip, but not right through. So the light from the candle shines through them, but it isn't an actual hole through the turnip.
So that was harder work than I thought. What do you think of the carving?
I think that's Yindersack. That's absolutely fantastic. Well done you. You've been here for hours.
I was going to ask how long has it been. I lost track of time, probably around 45 minutes ago. And my hands are sore. Is that typical?
That's very typical. How was it doing it with a blunt spoon and a blunt knife?
Not easy, but actually the top layer around the purple side was a bit softer than I expected, so you can do it with the butter knife. But have there ever been any injuries?
We do have a bag of plasters standing by, but
Just in case.
Just in case. Yeah.
Excellent. And we have got a competition going at Manx Radio, just purely for my benefit. Do you think I should win?
Absolutely. I think, it depends who's judging it, but I think you're in for a good shot there with your nice bit of branding on the back.
Brownie points.
Get the logo on there, you're sorted.
What have you been carving today?
A cat.
A cat. How's it going?
Okay.
Not easy using the butter knife, is it?
No.
Hard work. Are your hands aching now?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine are too. What do you reckon of mine?
It's very good. I like the stars on it.
Yeah, the stars are good. Are you going to put some stars on yours, do you reckon?
Probably.
Excellent. And you've been carving an elephant.
Yes, I have, yeah. I like his little legs. He's already, yeah.
You've used the shape of the moot itself to form the trunk and the legs. Thinking outside the box, why not? Are you happy with how it's gone?
Kind of. Yours is amazing. That's really good, yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
So, have you ever heard of a dumb cake?
A dumb cake? No.
Okay,
been called it.
You've been called it by Beth Espey?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Well, so one of the things James told me about when I was having a chat with him is this idea of a dumb cake. And apparently it's sort of if you're single and you want to find out who the love of your life's going to be or your soulmate, you make this cake, but you have to make it in complete silence. You have to bake it in complete silence and then you eat it in complete silence.
That sounds fun.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, we've both sort of got respective partners, but maybe we should just give it a go anyway.
Yeah, what happens if you are not single and make one of these things and it shows you the love of your life is not the person you're with?
I was going to say, you hope it shows you your partner.
You'd hope, wouldn't you?
Maybe we should get someone else involved. I'm not sure, but let's give it a go. And once we've eaten it, you have to then walk up the stairs backwards, I believe, to bed. It's all in silence, and then you go to sleep, and it's in your dreams. It gets revealed to you.
That could be risky.
I'm a bit worried about the backwards up the stairs element, but I do have a banister, so we should be okay. Right, should we go and give this a go then?
Let's give it a go.
Okay.
Let's try it out.
Come on then. So,
good
thoughts on great radio. Yeah, maybe that's what we should put in breakfast for the preview for this episode.
Just 2.5 minutes of silence.
Baking sounds. What did you make of the cake? I mean, the ingredients are interesting to say the least. We have eggshells, charcoal. Interesting experience.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest part. I mean, baking in silence, fine, quite therapeutic. Eating it in silence and not gipping, a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be rushing to make one of those again. Should we move on from that then? Why don't we, tell you what, let's hear a little bit more from James about some of the other traditions that people get up to. Yeah, let's go for it.
Singing songs.
Yeah, of course. That's the other key and obvious thing about Hop-tu-Naa, that you need to be singing these songs. And the songs vary all over the Isle of Man, and good people who are answering the doors will normally not give you anything unless you give them a song. And so you certainly need to be preparing a song, because of course there's many different songs known all over the Isle of Man.
So can you give me some examples then? Because honestly, knocking on doors and singing songs is so bizarre to me.
Well, I think what's so great about it is that it's completely normal come the 31st of October. I imagine, certainly I remember when I was a kid and my kids today, I was a bit nervous at those first few doors, but after that it becomes, of course you're singing, this is what you do. And this is a great thing about the day and the culture of Hop-tu-Naa in the Isle of Man, that we're doing something weird and it's completely normal. How great is that? But there are songs all over the Isle of Man, and there are regional differences, and so the sorts of songs you might hear in Peel will be different to those in Ramsey or Castletown or Douglas. And of course there's also the Manx language song, which accompanies dancing. But the different songs are brilliant in that some are very short and quick, gives you more doors to knock on and gives you more sweets or the like. But others are longer and weirder and tell you a more strange story. And so when I go around with my kids, we do our version of the Peel song, which goes on a bit long, and sometimes the people who answer the doors are a bit annoyed that the kids are singing, and they're a little bit like, yeah, you done yet? But yeah, the Ramsey song's very interesting because there, Ginny the witch doesn't do normal witch things. She just eats things, and it's a long list of the very weird things which Ginny the witch might eat until she ends up potentially eating you. So you need to watch out up in Ramsey.
So the Ginny the Witch song, where's that come from, and why are there so many regional differences then?
Well, this is a song which is perhaps a bit unusual today. I think we imagine songs always having been written by a person at a time, and then there's just variations from one original. But I think really the Hop-tu-Naa song is something which never has had one version. It's kind of these bones on which you're supposed to vary or improvise different versions of the song. And so there never has been one version of the song. From its beginnings, it's always been variations and differences. And that's why today there are so many different songs, even with different tunes, but certainly with different words and different things. But they all vaguely circle around different characters and different happenings. And the key one, of course, is Ginny the Witch.
Right, we heard a bit from James there about Ginny the Witch, and that's how it's kind of quite a modern tradition, Ginny. It doesn't go back all the way. Yeah. They're not quite sure where she comes from. But that's definitely something that you hear on your doorsteps. I'm sure people will hear it, this evening as people are knocking and asking for sweets. Have you actually experienced anyone knock on your door and sing a song yet?
Last year was our first year in our own house, where we actually had people come around. And yeah, we did. A couple of them sang. A couple of the kids, just said trick or treat, and I said go away.
Gotta sing the
Come
song.
back and sing. No, yeah. I didn't. That would have been mean. But yeah, I love the fact that there is a different song for different parts of the island. Just incredible to me that has happened naturally.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, I feel like you talk about cultures of music and the way that songs develop across places like the US and this massive landmass and very different styles of music from different parts. But this island being as small as it is, and yet you have different versions of a song, is very interesting. I've actually yet to have a child knock on my door and sing yet. They have all done.
Maybe tonight.
Maybe I'll be in luck. What do you think then? Do you think that you now have an understanding of Hop-tu-Naa? Do you think you understand a little bit more of the traditions here?
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I definitely, I think, prefer it to the H word across.
He's been converted.
Mark me a convert. I think it's rooted far more in actual tradition. It's, just a bit nicer.
Yeah, a bit less Americanized and kind of not as... I guess there's those commercial elements. I mean, everyone loves the costumes and the sweets and stuff, but yeah, that level of tradition here on the island, I think that shines through when you move over anyway.
Yeah, you can't buy a song.
You can't buy a song, that's
unless
true.
It's on iTunes. But you could sing your own version of a song. No one's gonna charge you for that. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, and that's a level of creativity that, I love about the Isle of Man, and I agree with you. I think here's to many more Hop-tu-Naas or the Celtic New Years to come, and tell you what, should we go and carve another moot then?
Yeah, let's go carve several.
Thanks for joining me and Lewis on this crash course into Hop-tu-Naa. That's unfortunately all we have time for tonight, but if you head to manxradio.com or your favourite podcast provider, you'll find everything that was left on the cutting room floor. Now go on, get out there, get trick-or-treating, but make sure you have your songs ready.
Hop-tu-Naa.